Brr. It's cold. Yeah, I know, it's winter. It's winter everywhere, but you see, I'm not talking about us going into the winter season proverbially. I'm talking about the financial winter season, the economic winter season. That's the winter season I'm talking about. You see, bundling up, jackets and beanies, that's not gonna keep you protected from the winter season that's about to hit. You see, the winter season is when we go into economic collapse. The winter season is when we go into a recession. The winter season is when everything that looked good before now isn't so good. The signs all point to one place, and that's a recession. And that's exactly where we're going. So in today's video, I want to show you how to avoid that. I want to show you one strategy that will keep you on the top, that will preserve and protect your wealth and keep you from having to bundle up for winter. I'm Chris Naugle, and this is What Now? What's next? Because it sure is getting cold. So I figured I'd just roll with the beanie, or for you northerners, the toque. Here's what we're gonna talk about today. We're gonna talk about one specific technique, one strategy that will allow you to preserve and protect your money. But let me go one step deeper than that. Not only will it allow you to preserve and protect your money, it will allow your money to be liquid. It will allow your money to grow at a guaranteed interest rate. It will allow your money to be used anytime an opportunity presents itself during this winter season. But not only will it allow your money to be used and to be liquid, you will still earn interest and dividends on all of the money, even when you use it. Because here's the one thing I know, whether it's a recession, a depression, or just an economic slowdown, opportunities will present themselves. In this winter season, one of the certains will be that you will have opportunities that you have not had in a long time. Maybe the last 12 years. Since this has been the longest bull run in history, that means that everything's inflated. And when we go into the winter season, when we start to slow down, and when we get closer and closer to the recession, oh, by the way, we're technically, not right now, but we were technically in a recession. But anyway, when we get closer to the recession, prices of not just stocks and ETFs and mutual funds and those retirement funds and that 401k that you shouldn't be maxing out, all of those will deflate, presenting a buying opportunity. Because you know, the great Warren Buffett said it best. The number one thing you need to know in investing is how not to lose money. And he said it this way, he said, buy low, sell high, and don't lose money. So how do you do that? Do you do that by going all FOMO'd out? Do you do that by just chasing every opportunity that comes across your desk, thinking,
oh my God, I gotta get into this now. Oh my God, I gotta buy Bitcoin. Oh my God, I gotta get into this rental. Oh my God, I gotta do this.
No, you do that by pulling back the reins. You do that by sitting back and being very observant and making logical decisions instead of emotionally driven decisions. Because most financial decisions that you will make in your life, especially when it comes to investments, will be emotional. And those are usually going to be the wrong decisions. Because when you're emotional about your investment decisions, you're not looking at logic. You're not looking at fundamentals. You're just making decisions because of a hope, a dream, and, well, in most cases, a false reality. So, remember I said you can preserve and protect your money. So when we're looking at opportunities that may or may not be here today, we still want our money working for us. I mean, come on. How many of you go out there and you work every single day and you make money, and then all of a sudden you take that money and you just put it into a bank account and you're just cool with that? Not many of you, right? Because you're thinking about your money in that bank account going, man, that money could be making me more. Or for some of you, God, not many of you, thank God. Some of you are, that money sitting in your bank account is like a bad drug and you gotta do it. It's just sitting there burning a hole in your pocket. And the first time you see the new pair of Nike Dunks, the first time you see the new car that you've been thinking about, that money is freaking gone. You blow it. So here's a couple things before we get into the one concept. For your money that's just sitting around for these opportunities, might I suggest that you take that money and you put it into a different bank where you don't have a debit card and you don't have checks. That's right, a bank that you don't go to very often. Maybe you bank with one particular bank. You got a debit card there, you got other accounts there, you got car loans there, you got all your stuff at one bank. I want you to go open a second bank account at a bank like a credit union or a community bank that you don't go to much. And I want you to every single month do a transfer for no less than 10% of the money that is in your regular account. It's the 10% rule. It's the first law of wealth. What's gonna happen is that money's gonna be out of sight, out of mind. It's not gonna be there for the FOMOs. It's not gonna be there for the frivolous spending, things that you're gonna wanna do. It's gonna be there and it's gonna have to be thought about before you spend that money. And when that money grows, what I want you to start doing is watch how it accumulates, but then also watch how little interest the traditional bank pays you. And I want you to pay attention to that. And then, if you must, keep that money for a year. At the end of the year, I want you to watch your mail, because in the mail is gonna come a letter from that bank where that money sits. And it's gonna be a 1099. That's right, they're gonna charge you tax on the interest that the bank paid you. So if your bank is nice enough to pay you 4 or 5%, you're gonna get a 1099 that you're gonna have to pay taxes on that 4 or 5%. So did you really make 4 or 5%? Or did you make 20 or 30% less after taxes? So what is your net return on the money you left in the traditional bank? Well, it's less. So let's talk about what the wealthy do with money. Some of the wealthiest families in history: the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Morgans and Stanleys, the Ray Krocs, the Walt Disneys, the Doris Christophers, the Warren Buffetts, the Joe Bidens and McCains. All of those wealthy families did one thing different. But before we get into that, how about you throw me a bone? That's right. How about right now, we just pause while you click that little button. It says subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, and while you're at it, there's a little bell. Whoa, yeah. There's a little bell, and I want you to smash that bell so that you're notified every single time I put up a new video. And while you're at it, be ready to receive the greatest gift ever given to you for Christmas. Here, catch. Good catch. You got it. And that's what we're gonna dive into now. You see, there's one thing that I've learned through all the years that I was a financial advisor, about 16 years, all the way right up till now. I have learned that the wealthy do things different. You see, when I was a financial advisor, I couldn't understand why my consultants and everybody at the firm would always tell me that these are the best things going, but yet when I took it to the wealthiest people in my town, they weren't interested. They had a better place. They had better people. They knew something that I didn't know. Will Rogers said the biggest problem in America is what people think that they know, that just ain't so. And my hat, my toque, my beanie goes off to him, because that's the exact truth. We go through life thinking that we know things that just ain't so. And that's exactly where the problem starts. When we stop wanting to learn, that's when we start going back down the other side. So let's not do that, because in the winter season, if you listen to the people that make money from you, if you listen to the common financial knowledge, and if you listen to some of the financial advisors that only care about AUM or the commissions that they're gonna make selling you some product, then they're probably steering you straight off the cliff, and that's what we want to avoid. So I want you to think preservation of principle. I want you to think like the wealthy, and I want you to think about how the wealthy use their money, but not just how they use their money. I want you to think about how they control their money and how they earn guaranteed interest, dividends. They put the money into an account that is not subject to liens and judgments, at least in most states. And not only that, they put it into an account that creates a legacy for their family, so that future generations of their family will be better off and able to grow their business operations more because of proper planning. So what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about your money first. Talking about going into a winter season being in full control of this, the money that you work hard for. But I'm not just talking about being in control. I'm talking about having your sniffer tuned in for the right opportunities. And those opportunities might not present themselves this year. They might not present themselves for the first half of next year. But eventually the right opportunity is going to land on your desk and you're going to need to act. So that money should not be sitting in somebody else's bank, the traditional bank where you have to pay tax on the interest that you earn. It should be sitting in a place where the wealthy keep their money. What is that place? Well, let me give you a tip. It's not a bank. It's a giant, mutually owned, not publicly traded insurance company. But not just a giant mutually owned insurance company, but a giant mutually owned insurance company that pays dividends to their policyholders. Because if they're mutually owned, they don't have to pay dividends to stockholders because there are no stockholders. So who do they pay dividends to? The policyholders. What policies am I talking about? What policies did the wealthiest families store massive amounts of wealth in? What policies do traditional banks use to store their tier one capital, the capital that they cannot lose, that they must have guarantees on? Well, some of you are getting this. Right now, let's just play a little game. In the comments, can you tell me where this place is? What is this place where banks and the wealthy families put their money? Okay, let me check. Yep, you nailed it. Whole life insurance policies. But not just any whole life. See, I always start by saying whole life insurance. And most people that hear that, they're like,
Oh, that's the worst place. Wealthy people don't put their money there. Banks don't put their money there.
Great. Go to fdic.gov and in the search, put BOLI, BOLI, bank-owned life insurance. That's right. And what you'll find is that the top 5 banks, I often show the slide on this, but the top 5 banks in 2021 had over $75 billion with giant mutually owned insurance companies in a product that is called whole life. But do you think that banks and those wealthy families I just talked about were buying the same whole life that your broke-ass brother-in-law tried selling you last week? No. These are specially designed. These are policies that are engineered and designed by somebody who knows how to design these, and that's exactly where this story starts. So as we go into this economic slowdown, as we go into what they commonly call the winter season, you're going to want your money ready. But you're also going to want your money growing and earning for you while you wait for this winter season to set in. Because it's not quite time to pull out the toques. It's not quite time to throw on the heavy jackets, but that time is coming. And while you're waiting for that opportunity, you might as well have your money sitting in a place that earns guaranteed interest, gets paid dividends every single year. Not only that, grows tax deferred, and also can be used on a tax-free basis if it's designed properly. And you also don't want to have the risk of losing that money in the event of a lawsuit or a lien that's placed on you. And you might as well take care of your legacy at the same time. All of those things and more can be found in a specially designed and engineered whole life. Because a whole life will pay you a guaranteed interest rate. How much do they pay now? Well, it depends on the company, but anywhere between 2 and as much as 3.5% guaranteed. Not guaranteed while the Fed has rates high, guaranteed for your life in a contract. Not only that, every year these mutually owned insurance companies have paid dividends. Although not guaranteed, they have paid dividends each and every single year, some as many years as 160 plus years, never missing one. And if the policy is built properly within what they call the MEC rules, the policy will grow on a tax-advantaged basis. And you will be able to use that money and allow that money to grow without any taxations like the traditional bank's 1099 way. But here's where the best part comes in. Because I know you're already like, well, that all sounded really good. Yeah, but it gets better. Check this out. You see, when that opportunity comes in the winter season, and you need to deploy some of that capital sitting in that specially designed whole life, what we're going to do is we're going to become the bank because we built up our bank. And we're going to take a loan from the insurance company and we're going to place that money that we took out of the specially designed whole life in whatever opportunity it is. Maybe it's a rental that you found 20 or 30% off of its highs. Maybe it's a stock that is depreciated 40%. Maybe it's a business that you were able to buy pennies on the dollar. Whatever that opportunity is, you had the money to put to work. But hold on, where did it come from? It came from that specially designed whole life. And we took the money from that specially designed whole life as a loan from the insurance company, and here's why. Because I know you don't like the sound of loan. Why? Because a loan has a cost, which the insurance company does charge interest on the loans. So let's just say by today's standard, 2023, the loan is 5%. It's actually a little under, but we'll call it 5%. And let's just say that your money in your policy, dividends and interest combined, is more than 5%. That would be a good thing, right? You are making more than what you have to pay to borrow that money. But see, here's where it gets better. Once we take the loan from the policy, none of your money leaves your policy, which means your money gets to stay in the policy and it gets to compound uninterrupted. It means it earns interest on interest and dividends year over year, compounding. Now, compound interest, says Albert Einstein, is one of the 8 wonders of the world, the most powerful thing in the financial world. Those that understand it earn it, those that don't pay it. Do you want to pay it or do you want to earn it? By keeping the money in specially designed whole life, you're able to earn compounding interest while still using the money without interrupting the flow of any of that compounding. And here's how that happens. So let me just explain this. When you buy a whole life, there are 2 promises, 2 guarantees in the contract. Guarantee number 1 is the interest rate. We already talked about that. A guaranteed interest rate will be paid to you on the money that you have in cash value. Guarantee number 2 is someday when you die or graduate and go on to a better place, there will be a death benefit paid out to your beneficiaries. And if it's designed properly, that death benefit will be tax-free. So we got the 2 guarantees out of the way. So when we take a loan from our policy, how is it that our money never leaves the policy and just stays in there? Well, it's because we're not using our money. The insurance company is loaning us money from their general account. What money are they loaning us? Our future death benefit. So if you'll notice, when you take a loan from a permanent life insurance policy, because they're all the same, you are actually seeing a reduction in your death benefit by the amount of the loan. So if you started with $1 million death benefit and you took $500,000, you now have $500,000 net if you die, because 500 of the death benefit was loaned to you. And then they use the cash value as collateral. So in that scenario, if you had $1 million death benefit and you took a loan for $500,000, one thing must have been certain. You had $500,000 or more in cash value, because the insurance company wants collateral. Just like if you were lending money, you would want collateral. So the collateral is the cash value that sits in your account, and that cash value collateralizes the loan. But here's the cool part. That loan that you put to work in a depressed market, or buying a real estate, pennies on the dollar, or businesses, pennies on the dollar, that will yield a return. And now that you've created a banking system, you take the return that was created from those investments that you bought during the winter season, and instead of taking that interest or gain that you earn from buying that opportunity, you take that gain or interest or whatever money it makes and you put it into your policy as a loan repayment. By doing that, you are reducing the amount of the loan and you are reducing the interest paid to the insurance company. But while all that is happening, your money is compounding. So if you understand the difference between compound interest and simple interest, you would understand this. One is going up and one is staying the same. Simple interest is simple, compounding is compounding. So if we've got compounding interest and simple interest, but we're paying down the loan that the simple interest is paid on, all of a sudden that interest is going down while your money is going up, all inside this tax-free environment called life insurance. So now do you see why the wealthiest families use this? Now do you see why banks use this? They all were seeking preservation of principal. They all wanted guarantees, but they all wanted their money working for them, and they wanted access to that money because there are always going to be winter seasons. And when winter seasons come, opportunities follow. Are you ready for what might be one of the biggest opportunities in your life? And yes, folks, it's gonna get chilly and you're gonna need to put the beanie on. But once you're ready, it won't matter. All you do is you put the coat on, you sit back, and you wait. Hopefully this helps you, and if you liked this video, check this one out right here. How to knit your own toque. I'm just kidding. Check this video out. It's called BYO Bank. It will show you all about how you can be your own bank. My name's Chris Naugle. This has been another episode of What Now? What's Next? See you next time.